So are you saying because of the porous nature of Nigeria's economy, workers should now understand that, okay, this is how the economy works and lay back and not fight for their rights?
No, not really. That's not what I'm going to do. Let us understand where the problem comes. As the problem comes, we can be able to address the issue from the international realm. It now becomes a domestic issue. When nation state, regions are not competing equally to gain fully have economic abundance, and nation states are not able to meet up with the demands of their workers, of their people, it boils down to let us address it from the international then to the local. At the local, majorly, the problem we normally have the local is that there is corruption in satisfying workers. But we don't normally look at the other aspect of it, that there is also injustice globally, whereby countries don't have opportunity to compete, to be able to gain fully economically. But the major issue that most of us normally dwell on, especially media report and the rest of them, I'm also a comrade. But we must also look deeply at the foundational problem.
Yes, so but those foundational problems, I would say, are much more complex, and it's, I would say, beyond the powers of any state in particular to really have a control over. If you look at those from the international dimension, of course, you have to look at the issue of global trade.
Definitely.
You know, the deals and interrelations between nations and all of that. You also need to look at global politics as well and all of that. So, how, if you look at Nigeria as a country, where is Nigeria placed as far as global politics and global trade is concerned?
We are placed, but our place is mispriority in the sense that when African, look at AFTAC, the African Free Trade Organization that was set up, how much of African countries are pushing? It took Nigeria how many months before we finally sign on that agreement? These are the things that we're supposed to be pushing for, to enhance the economic development of regions and countries, so that we can be able to take care of our workers. Nobody is complaining that there is no corruption. There is deeply corruption, especially in terms of pension and the rest of them. But we must not sideline all those other issues, because at the end, if we settle the issue of corruption, what about the other side? That is the angle I'm coming from.
So as an economist, what should we do?
Basically, what should we do? One, at the international fora, let us press forward, let us push forward, that we demand for equal economic development, equal competition, equal participation in all economic fronts, WTO and the rest of them. Then at the home front, we need to tackle the corruption aspect of it, which now boil on our political bearers on what to do and what next to do.
There are those that will say, you know, there are certain critical sectors, and health is one of those critical sectors, and that those who work in those sectors, they render essential service. And so they shouldn't be seen to be embarking on, you know, strike actions just like any other sector is doing. Do you agree with that?
Very well. The major reason why that happens all the time is the insincerity of the Nigerian state. I will repeat it again. Insincerity of the Nigerian state. Not just the health workers. What about primary school teachers? Our focus has always been on health workers, oil company workers, because they have a stay in the economy and the rest of them. What about teachers? We should categorize and apply the same rules for all of them. Not just health workers, not just doctors, not just nurses. Teachers inclusive. Security personnel inclusive, like the protesting pensioners. Why do we always have issues with all this? And it boils down to insincerity of the Nigerian state, insincerity of our political bearers, insincerity of people that are managers of our economy and the rest of them, until they take the right step. And the only way they can take the right step is not just until workers protest. We must engage them. That's my own point of view. We must engage them on all their policies. And one of the things we need to understand is this. Whenever they are bringing up policy that would disengage or disregard workers, we should stand against it. And one of the ways we can stand against it, also to look at it from both economic side, because majority of us have been focusing on the monetary side in terms of the social inclusion side. What about the economic indices, economic issues around workers' welfare? That doesn't just go with Nigerian state alone, but include Africa